Hello and welcome to this special video, which is a safeguarding and child protection presentation specifically for people working in international education. I'd like to start by saying the content and topics in safeguarding and child protection can be stressful, so if you need to take a break at any point, you can go ahead and do so. Here are the contents of this presentation. I will put the contents in the description below with time marks. So if you need to skip to or review any of these topics, you may do so. So I'd like to also start by saying that all schools will have a safeguarding or child protection policy. And as a teacher or member of staff, it's vital that you have access to that policy and that you read it and that you understand it. Okay, so while this presentation will give you lots of general information about safeguarding, it's essential that you understand your policy at your school. So what is child protection and safeguarding? Child protection refers to protecting children from abuse, neglect, and harm, while safeguarding promotes child welfare and prevents impairment of development. Put simply, safeguarding is to prevent harm, while child protection is how we respond to harm. Keeping children safe is everyone's responsibility, and all staff must demonstrate compliance with this responsibility. This presentation will cover the key policies and procedures. We can look at child protection through the lens of the UN Convention on Children. This convention, which has been ratified by 194 countries, it said that children have rights. They have the rights to life, survival and development, protection from violence, abuse and neglect, right to an education, right to be raised or have a relationship with their parents, and right to express their opinions and be listened to. Okay. And you can see here a nice poster with just a short summary of that. And it's from this that much of the safeguarding comes from. Now, safeguarding and child protection in schools is essential because children spend so much time in school. Schools are spaces where children spend a significant proportion of their time, making schools responsible for ensuring they're safe and in nurturing surroundings. Teachers and faculty have a role in safeguarding children. We need to protect them from abuse, neglect, bullying, physical and emotional harm. As responsible adults working in education, we all play a crucial role in safeguarding. Neglecting to safeguard children is completely unacceptable, and in most schools can result in disciplinary action. There will also be a code of conduct in your school, which will give some of the most important guidelines. Here are examples of some items that will be in the code of conduct. Maintain professional boundaries, no physical contact, no corporal punishment, no electronic communication with students on personal forms. Only female staff can assist students with changing clothes and toileting. This is normal in most international schools. Maintain visibility at all times, ensure fairness, and report any concerns. I'm going into more detail of these points now, okay? So about maintaining professional boundaries, this must be done physical distance and emotional distance. No inappropriate physical contact. When touching is deemed necessary, such as medical support, or perhaps when teaching a sport or something that needs physical contact, the adult must ask a child's permission. All schools will also have a safe touch policy. It's essential that you read and understand the safe touch policy. No corporal punishment, and no direct communication with students on social media. All communications should be conducted through official channels such as the school email. Most international schools will only allow female staff who have been trained to help with changing clothes and toileting. Visibility. Never be alone in an enclosed room with a student. Door windows must be unobstructed. Curtains and blinds should be open to promote transparency. Ensure fairness and equity. Teacher must avoid any bias and ensure that their treatment of students is fair. Concerns. All staff have a duty to report any concern they may have about a student's well-being or a colleague's behaviour. And later in this, we will explain how that reporting is usually done. As mentioned, your school should have a safe touch policy. A summary of the general points in Safe Touch policy include appropriate touch, and again, asking permission, no corporal punishment, and a very important point, as mentioned, is consent. Please check with your school to get your Safe Touch policy and so you understand it correctly. Now, safe environments and trustful relationships are essential for safeguarding. How do we ensure the environment in school is safe? First of all, safety drills, fire drills, and lockdown. Secondly, security of the school. The school entrance should have security and surveillance. Staff training. Staff should be regularly trained in first aid. The environment. The school should maintain a safe and clean environment. Playtime supervision. Teachers on duty during playtime must be vigilant. Accidents and must be reported. Car park area. Staff working in the car park area must be extra careful. Vigilance and reporting. Staff and students are encouraged to be vigilant and report immediately any unsafe conditions or suspicious activity. Building trustful relationships to ensure students feel safe in school emotionally. Teachers and staff should stay calm, smile often, listen. Stay calm, that's how important it is. Respect differences, respect students' space, promote open communication. Teach students about safeguarding and about their rights and about what to do if they feel uncomfortable. Make mistakes a learning opportunity and celebrate the students' achievements. Now, there are different types of abuse, and it's important that we understand these different types of abuse so that we can then spot the signs and then take action. Here we have 7: physical, financial, sexual, psychological, emotional, neglect, and online abuse. Being aware of different types of abuse is important. So, what are signs that this might be happening to a vulnerable child? Okay, well, you can see in the details here: physical abuse, bruises, burns, abrasions, injuries, neglect. How do we spot signs of neglect? Lacking adequate medical or dental care. Child is sleepy. Child is regularly hungry. Child is not clean, not adequately dressed. Evidence of poor supervision. Okay. How do we spot emotional abuse? Maybe extremes in behavior. Delayed physical, emotional, or intellectual development. How do we spot signs of sexual abuse? Pain, bleeding, redness, or swelling in genital areas. Age-inappropriate sexual play with toys. And age-inappropriate knowledge of sex. And one of the overriding signs of abuse or neglect is a severe change in a child's behavior. So it's important that all teachers are aware of these, and if they do notice a change, they take some action. So as a teacher, it's important to support the vulnerable children. Be aware of the students with special needs or special circumstances in your class. Provide extra support as necessary. Know which resources are available for these students. Communicate your concerns about vulnerable children to the designated safeguarding lead. Another challenge for teachers is at the beginning of the year, especially in international school settings where children and families often change school, change countries. So you can see here, transition period is quite a challenge situation. Eventually, things settle down, but there can be moments of culture shock and homesickness. Okay, and then at the end of the year, if a child knows that they are also leaving behind friends, starting the cycle again, it can be stressful. As a teacher working in the international field, it's important to be aware of the challenges for students at the beginning and ends of terms. Okay, now moving on to reporting. So if there's something we're concerned, if we have a concern, we must report it. Okay, we have an obligation to report. Most schools will have a designated safeguarding person or designated safeguarding lead, and that will be the person that you report to. If your school does not have someone with this title, please check and find out who it is that you should report to if you have any safeguarding concerns. There will be reporting software or reporting paperwork to use. Do not investigate any concerns by yourself, and maintain confidentiality and follow the procedures that your school sets. Very, very important. You must not self-report to the police. Okay, this would breach policy and confidentiality. Always follow procedures. Now, an important thing to be aware of is how to handle a disclosure. So, disclosure, if a child comes to you and tells you something directly about one of their concerns, something that's happening to them at school or at home, and student will only give a disclosure to someone they truly trust. They may only take one chance to give the disclosure. So it's very, very important that we act correctly. Be open and honest from the outset. Do not promise to the child that you will keep it a secret, because you will not be able to keep it a secret. You'll need to pass it in confidentiality to the safeguarding lead. Respond quickly. Do not allow your concerns or about other teachers or about the student's family to override the rights of the child to be protected. Share the information with the person responsible for safeguarding, the DSP. Ask open questions. Listen to the child. Never ever stop a child who is freely disclosing. It may be the only time they disclose. Record the date, the time, the place, and the exact words used. This is very important. You must use the words of the child. Do not paraphrase what the child has told you. And record any subsequent meetings with the child. This is a very useful way of getting more information from the child with open questions. TED. Tell me what you mean by that. Explain to me. Describe that. So when a child has told you something, it's not clear, you need some additional information, use these type of questions. Do not use leading questions. Tell me what you mean by that. Explain to me. Describe that. TED. And then write the wording of the child. So if this happens, stay calm. As I said, don't promise confidentiality. Reassure the child it's not their fault. Record the exact words. Use whatever reporting mechanisms, whether it's online or paper-based, and report to the safeguarding person as soon as possible. Do not investigate it and maintain confidentiality. The designated safeguarding person, will then take over and they will lead the investigation. Okay, so you'll leave it with them to continue. If a child discloses to you, it can be very upsetting, and you may need to ask for some support yourself. Don't be afraid to ask. Listen, believe, support, and report. They are the steps to dealing correctly with a disclosure. Now, this is provided by an excellent agency in the UK, which does a lot of work for child protection and safeguarding. I'll put the link to the organization in the description below. And these are the advice that children have given to teachers if they have a disclosure. So they would like the teacher to be calm. They do not want to tell the story often. Tell the child it's not their fault. Don't judge the child. Don't make any promises that you cannot keep. And be available. These are what children who have made disclosure, who have been victims, this is the advice they have given to adults. Whistleblowing. If you have a concern about a colleague, you must report it to the designated safeguarding lead. Concern about a colleague may put you in what you feel like is a difficult situation. However, you must remember that the welfare of the child is paramount. Schools will have whistleblowing policies and codes and ways of reporting that enable you to report in confidence any sensitive information. It is your duty to report any concerns you have to the designated safeguarding lead. If there is a complaint or concern regarding a principal, a deputy principal, or even the designated safeguarding lead, there will also be channels for you to report those, often to the head of the school or to the owner of the school or to the school board. Please check your whistleblowing policy for guidelines how to do that. Something which has become more common in schools in recent years has been the reporting of low-level concerns. So what is a low-level concern? A low-level concern is a concern that an adult has acted in a way that is inconsistent with the staff code of conduct, including conduct outside of work. Low-level concerns are part of a spectrum of behavior. It can be down to thoughtless behavior, behavior that might be considered inappropriate, behavior which is intended to enable abuse. The reason more and more schools and organizations are reporting low-level concerns and tracking these is because people who have been found to abuse children begin by testing the boundaries. Examples of low-level concern include being overly friendly with children, having favorites, taking photos on personal mobile devices of students, engaging with a child on a one-to-one basis in a secluded area, using inappropriate, sexualized, intimidating, or offensive language. What to do if you have a low-level concern? Inform the designated safeguarding person, or if you have a concerns box, as many schools do, put it there. Your school may also have other procedures for reporting low-level concerns. The reason so many schools are now taking low-level concerns seriously is because research has shown that individuals who abuse children often begin in organizations breaking smaller rules, testing the organization to see how strict they will be. And so by everyone being vigilant, it will identify these individuals and ensure the school is safe. Okay, so we've come towards the end of this safeguarding presentation. I do hope you found it useful. As mentioned at the beginning, please check the safeguarding child protection policy at your school before you start. Make sure you read and you understand that and follow the guidelines in those policies. This video is just here to give a general overview of common practices.